So, good evening. This is Nice Guy Eddie, and this is not, in my humble opinion, on Rainbow Radio at all, which at the time of us having this conversation has been off for about 4 years, almost to the month. And with me is Terra Snover, many time guest on the old podcast, and great to get back caught up. So, hey, good to see you again.
Good to be back. I mean, what a time to stop that podcast, huh? Now we have to do the equivalent of a clip show about what's been going on.
So, it's kind of like I want to start by just saying, so the last 4 years, wow, what the fuck was that?
It was a thing that happened that we all lived through.
We made it. We made it.
Most of us did. That's the bad part. Is most of us did, but there's a lot that didn't.
It ramped up though. It ramped up fast and steep, and I never thought it was. I thought it would level out at some point. It just kept getting exponentially worse to the point where in the last year 400,000 people died. Well, I won't say that it didn't have to, because okay, fair is fair. Some people would have. But
that's inevitable. Yeah.
What the fuck?
But we're burying the lead. Or that's the opposite, burying the lead. We're going straight in for the lead.
Right. Well, I guess, and it's weird because I say almost to the month because I think it was March or April of 2017 was the last time that IMHO aired on Rainbow. And you would think a few months into a presidential administration like Trump's, like if you've got a podcast, you're doing liberal politics and stuff, like, oh my God, there's so much to talk about. And that was kind of the problem as I thought about trying to, do I want to keep doing it? Do I want to get back and do it? Was like every day, not every week, not every month, every day.
Every hour.
20 new things, new outrages, new absurdities. There was so much to talk about. Like on any given day, I honestly didn't know where to start. It was just like, okay, are we going to talk about the kids in cages? Are we going to talk about the Muslim ban? Are we going to talk about this, that, the other thing? Are we going to talk about the stupid thing he said on Twitter? Are we going to talk about the fact that Steve Bannon had a White House job, for fuck's sake, for a while there anyway? Are we going to talk about all the only time he had anybody remotely competent, they quit, in disgust and left? It was just like every day, more stuff. I think back, I think of the Bush administration. Okay, and I think of basically three things that I took away from it. The Iraq War, which at the time was being cheerled by the media, so I feel like that was something that people like us had a responsibility to talk about and give the other side. The response to Hurricane Katrina, which was kind of like when the shimmer came off of Bush and you could finally criticize him without being called a traitor again. And then, of course, the 2008 financial collapse. But I'm like, but that was it. Those were like the highlights. What the hell were the highlights of the last 4 years?
You kind of just gotta look and go.
What was it like? I asked this as, and this is the other weird thing, is I look at all of this as cishet, white male, upper middle class, educated, able-bodied, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it's like it would have been the easiest thing in the world for me to just fall in with the cult, I suppose. None of this was aimed at me personally. How is it? What is the last?
In the LGBTQ culture has been interesting.
Right. And you look at, take the transgender military ban specifically. They went out of their way to target one, not just the LGBT group, but a specific aspect of that.
Okay, so that one is, I don't see it as much as, that was an attack on the LGBT community, because frankly, yes, it was specifically put against trans people, but at this point, transgender people are the only acceptable quotation marks target for the right to hit, or for those right-wing zealots to really hit.
Yeah.
So, if you look at it, gay marriage, for the most part, is accepted across the board now.
Right, that's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. People are just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. Clarence Thomas can flap his yap about it, but nothing's going to happen. We know that.
Yeah, gays and lesbians they've been, again, a thing for freaking ever. They've been out in public, public eye, and things like that. So the only real target left is transgender people, so that is their attack strategy for the entire community.
Right. So it's an attack on the community, but focused on, as you put it, the last acceptable target. Acceptable, of course. We're using big quotes there, guys. Don't come at us with the hate on that. Miss us with that bullshit. We're putting some big quotations on it. But I think people understand the idea of an acceptable target in terms of, you can be a bigot, but still there will be a large portion, enough of the population that won't see it that way, that will see it as a legitimate debate. Whereas, yeah, at this point, there's no legitimate debate to be had about gay marriage at this point.
Yeah, if you go out and they're like, you know, the Westboro Baptist Church used to get press, and now what the hell are they doing? Like, it's a thing, you know, people go out, gays shouldn't be married, and everyone's like,
right. Well, and I think that nobody did a better job. Maybe the trans community needs whatever the WBC equivalent is. That's the Westboro Baptist Church, not the World Boxing Council or whatever, but something of that nature. Because I swear, I still say to this day that nobody did more to advance the cause of gay rights than Fred Phelps.
I mean, yeah, it got.
May he rest in peace or burn in hell or wherever you put him.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, because he made it so comical.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the huge deal.
Or offensive, I guess, not comical. There was nothing funny about his bullshit.
No, nothing. Well, no, it was comical in a really macabre kind of way.
Yeah, it was bigotry made cartoonish.
Exactly. We needed. He was the mustache twirling, put the lady on the railroad tracks, evil villain.
Right. And there's not, and Trump isn't even big enough to be that, really. I mean, I guess some people think, I don't even like, I on the one hand, I have a hard time, I still to this day have a hard time taking him seriously enough in that role. He should have been, but somehow he became president of the United States. And going back to 4 years ago, I mean, I don't think I made any predictions at the time that didn't understate what actually ended up happening. Like, I feel like this is a big time I told you so, except it was so much worse.
I know, I was scarily on the mark, but I'm a pessimist to no extreme.
Right.
I came out, like, I ran, in the interim, right?
Yes.
I ran for Congress.
That's right.
That's a thing I did. I didn't
win,
obviously.
You hired a real idiot to write the copy for your website, we should add. That was a huge mistake, first of all. But that's right. Well, how is that? I mean, that was very early on, too. That was first midterm, right?
Yeah, that was the first midterm.
That was 2018 midterms. And so it was still early on. It was still mostly Twitter, and I mean, administration was still kind of finding its footing a little bit. I mean, there was, like I say, still a daily outrage, but it wasn't a 400,000 dead in a pandemic catastrophe. Duck Dynasty and the dude in the Chewbacca bikini raiding the Capitol catastrophe yet. That was yet to come. But I mean, how did you find that whole experience? And that was because we never really. Even after it ended, like, we never really touched base on.
We never had a postmortem.
Yeah. No. So what's the postmortem on that? That was pretty cool. Actually, they've done that.
Well, what it was is, I know this is gonna sound batshit crazy.
Right.
But Trump almost helped as far as getting new liberal and actually even not even liberal, just extremely left-wing people into the mix.
Right.
And I was one of those people. If you ask me, I'm like far left.
Right.
And there was plenty of other people getting out there too, and I saw that across the board.
Yeah.
So, and I was I don't want to say symptom of that, but I'm trying to think of a good terminology. A result of that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people got out there too and did the exact same thing. So
right.
The whole experience was great because actually the field I was playing in was huge.
Right, and that was so this was California 10th District. California does a jungle primary, which basically means everybody runs top two, regardless of party affiliation, independent, Republican, Democrat. Top two then go to a runoff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You don't, and in your case, it was you running as an independent. There were, I don't know, like 8 Democrats, I think, at the beginning, and then the one Republican.
Yeah, the one incumbent.
And so everyone knew the Republican was going to get it. So it was like essentially you're competing for the spot. And the idea being, I think we were kind of banking on some of those Democrats staying in the race longer and potentially splitting the vote. And then an independent potentially can win in that scenario by sort of like all the establishment Democratic vote gets split between 8 different people. But it seemed like there were 1 or 2 kind of establishment or small-time establishment candidates that kind of broke out early, and the Democratic field winnowed fairly quickly, as I recall.
Yeah, it narrowed, and I held in longer than most, but mainly because I just didn't bow out until I really had to.
Right.
Like at that point, it was like because it's the top two who get in. What's it matter if the vote is split?
Yeah, yeah. At that
so
point, yeah. If you can split it out like a couple different ways, and then there's a chance. But yeah.
But yeah, no, it was the best. It was an interesting experience, especially that district. Like I said, I'm just happy that Dunham was gone.
Right.
That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, and
like
there was a lot of that. I mean, he didn't until this very last election. I think that was more because, and we'll talk about Biden in a minute, but I don't see the Trump effect really helping the Republican Party, broadly speaking, and certainly not. It definitely made the discourse more liberal because it brought more liberal voices into the fold. So we have people like Tlaib and Ocasio-Cortez and the Squad, basically, and Sanders, of course, hasn't gone away. He's still as prominent as he ever was, and more people that are looking and going, you think Nancy Pelosi's a socialist? Really? I mean, and this whole idea, I love what they're saying. Biden's gonna do this and that, and it's this socialist red left-wing agenda. And I'm sitting here going, I can't even count how stupid this statement is, because first of all, you don't know who you're talking about. Second of all, you don't know what socialism means. Third, you think it means Venezuela and it doesn't. Fourth, you think it would even be bad. And fifth, you think that this is part of what the Democrats are going for. It's like, oh my God. But it gave a legitimacy to that farther voice, although that didn't necessarily translate to electoral wins. Beyond a few high-profile names, for the most part, establishment politicians still win.
Well, that's the problem. The main problem we've had is I think part of the problem that we're having is we're focusing on the last 4 years, which have been bad. Don't get me wrong. They've been bad. But this is the symptom of the much longer since, Reagan and Nixon. And
you could go back to Reagan. You can go back to Nixon. You can go back to the country's founding. I mean, it just depends on where you want to draw your starting point. The system, if you will, has been in place since day one, and there have been increments where it has gotten noticeably worse or less tolerable for those that have less, for those that have different ideas, for those that live differently.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to sound like that person that's like, the system's out to get me, but it is.
It goes after you more than it comes after me.
Yeah.
And even I recognize it. I mean,
but it's Trump is the symptom that the last 30 to 50 years at this point has been creating. One of the big things for me, for instance, was when healthcare back in the day became privatized.
Right.
That was a huge step in towards what we have here. The if we want to, Citizens United was a train wreck of a decision that has created this, what we're seeing today. And it's been little dominoes leading up to the bigger one. And Trump has just been the biggest final domino to fall.
Right. And I think the only where he might have broken something is that right now, and I mean, I have heard this is the death of the Republican Party before. I've seen the Washington Post, the New York Times print that headline. I mean, I think they printed it first during Watergate. Okay, no, the Republican Party is not going anywhere. But following the last 4 years and following this administration, he brought people into the mix that had never voted, right-wing people, conservative people, bigots, etc., also, who had never voted before, and who heard this guy in his perverse majesty, saw something that connected with them, saw that voice. He's talking to me. He's speaking my language. Whatever, you've heard these. We've all heard, and that's the Trump cult. That's the MAGA cult, basically. And these were not people that were politically engaged. And this was new voters coming in to vote Republican. But for everyone that he brought in, he lost 1.1 votes in the middle to the Democrats. And some he still had, some left. And I think when it was Clinton, and there was enough, I think when Clinton ran, fake news was not really that well understood yet. There's a lot of clickbaity bullshit going around that people believed and still believe. We didn't understand what Trump really was. We all had our fears. We've now seen the result. So running the second time, I think more people realized, oh shit, yeah, that was as bad as everyone thought it was going to be. Yeah, let's not do that again. But now what do you do if you're the Republicans? What do you do for the next 2 years? What do you do 4 years from now? Because if you just pick a Mitt Romney, another guy who looks good in a suit and says the right words to, the establishment Republican, for example, you lose the Trump cult completely. And if the more you try to embrace that, if they run on QAnon and bullshit like that 4 years from now, they're going to lose the middle again. And I guess I don't see how they repeat 2016.
Well, they're not going to get a repeat of 2016.
Well, how do you figure?
Well, here's the thing. You're right, and everything you said there was 100% right. But you got to remember, as a country, we're as far as like our political spectrum is concerned, as to the rest of the world, we are so right wing. In general, our center is most countries right.
Right, and our left is most countries center. I mean, people talk about Bernie Sanders. They don't realize Bernie Sanders is not a radical. He is a centrist on the global scale.
Exactly.
Put him globally. He's not a socialist. He's not even a democratic socialist. He's a social democrat in the global sense of things.
So if Republicans pull actually more from the center, quote unquote, or even to the left, you could revitalize it, because you could take the people you lost and maybe some people in the Democratic Party.
But could that make up for? I mean, again, that the MAGA cult rejects that utterly. No.
Yeah, the MAGA cult rejects
or can you lie to them? Can you move to the left and tell them that you're moving to the right, and they'll believe anything they hear because they're that fucking stupid?
It's not even I don't think it's you lie to them. It's just you have at that point you can pull in people from the left and then from the left, and then who else are they going to vote for if they don't vote at all? It's a numbers game. I'm not a political theorist,
Right, yeah, but yeah, it's kind of like a non-voter. A non-voter who's never been a voter is not like sitting out, and you can't really say, well, a vote for him or a no vote is a vote for the other guy if you've never voted in your life.
Exactly.
Like that's different from somebody who's a regular voter who's like, I'm going to sit this one out because I say no bullshit. There's somebody who's definitely better. You just don't like them. That I have a problem with. But somebody who's like never voted in their life, who's been brought in by the one cult of personality, and then they're going to sit it out when he's not on the ticket. It's like, well, you weren't voting Republican or Democrat. You were voting for the one guy. That was
and
you were voting for.
And then the other crazy thing about that whole situation is they shot themselves in the foot as far as those people go, because they're believing the conspiracy theories and all that, this and that. And they think the election is rigged now.
Right. Well, and
that's what they saw in Georgia.
And what I love too now, well, the other thing is we won Georgia because enough of them were disgusted enough to not vote. So thank you for that. Right wingers, you need to boycott as many elections as you want. I've got no problem. You guys stay at home. I love it.
But here's the and so yes, they're like the death of the Republican Party. It's not dead yet, but there is something that's murdering it slowly.
Yeah. Yeah.
The death of the Republican Party is happening. We're inching ever closer to getting rid of the Electoral College. We are. Colorado, this last election.
Very slow, yeah.
But yeah, Colorado, this last election, signed on to the, I don't remember the exact name of the thing, but
basically you're going to give your slate of electors to the national popular vote winner.
Exactly. And once you hit that 217?
Right, it's half
270.
The
270 vote. Right. And we're getting pretty close now. I think we're up to like 200.
Yeah.
At this point. And I mean, getting those extra 70 is going to be hard, but with as many places that we're not expecting going blue, you're going to start seeing those things popping up more and more.
Right. Well, the one thing, if we could manage to turn Texas blue one time, you would see a huge right-wing push for that national popular vote, so they could reclaim the 19 million odd votes out in California that don't count. You know, because 56 or whatever it is votes go to the Democrats every year, even though you don't win California by 90%. 40% of California is a huge freaking block.
Yeah.
And you've got a conservative bloc there. They don't understand that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, but once that happens, that's why they've been fighting it tooth and nail, is because that's when the Republican Party, as we know it now, dies.
Right.
That is the final nail in the coffin. It's not Trump and his, all this like craziness that's been going on. It's not. It's.
I just look at it as I feel like the Democrats have enough votes in enough places to win. And it's like the Republicans need to make up ground one way or the other, and they can't quite. Like what happened in 2016 was they got a bunch of people from the psychotic right without losing the center. And that I think you're right. I think we both said it in different ways. That won't happen again. You can't embrace the psychotic right without losing an equal portion of the center, so you can't gain ground. You also can't go center or left. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but are they really gonna? I mean, how disappointing would the Democrats have to be? And they're pretty disappointing, but I mean, how bad would it have to be for them to be beaten by the Republicans on the left? Like, I feel like that's, and do the Republicans learn? I mean, have they ever learned? Has there even been a lesson to learn? Because it seems like their autopsy, whatever they say, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, and inevitably they double down on their base every time. Double down on their base. That's their strategy, and it's worked often enough for them, to their credit.
Well, it's worked because they've rigged the system.
Well, yeah. I mean, right. I mean, the Senate. You've got you've got 2 representatives for the 500,000 people of Wyoming and 2 representatives for the 40 million people in California.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's.
If we wanted to.
And the House isn't much better. The House isn't much.
I mean, it's better, but it's not much.
Well, again, though, it's kind of like if Wyoming with its 500,000 people has 1 representative, California has what? Something like 50-something. They should actually have like 160.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
It's proportionate. So it's better, but it is still wildly favors places where nobody lives, which tend to be more conservative. Rural areas tend to be more conservative. And they get disproportionate representation.
And if we're talking, we talked about how the Republicans win, and I mean, now that we control most, Congress in both houses and the presidency,
right?
Beyond the tourniquet situation that we're dealing with now, which is COVID and all that, if Democrats just really wanted to start fighting quote unquote dirty, what they should really start pushing is actual new statehood for our territories.
Well, and there is talk of DC.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real chance that could happen, and there's a real chance for Puerto Rico. Although I would actually offer up, as you say, the territories, all 4 territories, and DC. And one of the things about that is, while DC and Puerto Rico would no doubt be Democratic locks, Guam, I used to live there. It's a fairly conservative area. It would probably be a very likely Republican vote. The people there are very religious, very Catholic, very pro-life. It would be an easy place for the Republicans to do well, and that could offset Puerto Rico. But net, it would be a game for the Democrats, but it would be a game for small d democracy. I mean, taxation without representation. These idiots that are taking paid time off. Let's move to the Capitol a bit here now. I think it's a good segue.
Okay, yeah. We're getting in.
These idiots that are living under tyranny, but somehow they're getting paid time off. They're getting paid time off to take private planes to go raid the Capitol building because they're being oppressed.
It would be funny if it wasn't so terrifying.
And it was. I mean, what got me, the one moment I was not worried about the Capitol, and I was proven right in that they achieved exactly what they set out to do. They took the Capitol. These people were occupying the floor of the Senate and the House of Representatives. And they had no idea what to do with that. Like, there was no plan. It was just like, let's take the Capitol. Okay. And they did that, which I would have thought was impossible. But then, and there's going to be investigations as to why the security was sabotaged. I mean, honestly, yes, Trump incited and Trump honestly aided and abetted because the refusal to send in the National Guard or whatever, all that. But I mean, they took the Capitol. They literally captured it.
Yeah.
And
And
but it's like, but so what? It's a building, great. You filled the building up. You broke some windows. You urinated in the hallways, and you think you're going to take over a country that way? Good
well,
luck.
the thing that would have been bad, and this was, and thank the gods that
Right.
no one, no none of our representatives were actually found,
Right.
because that's the truly terrifying bit.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have killed the ones that I would have liked to have been found. I wouldn't have cried if they found Ted Cruz, but I mean, but they weren't going to do anything to Ted Cruz.
Yeah, no.
No,
And
no,
so,
no. All
like,
joking aside, yes, that was something.
so they occupied a building, yeah, and they stole some, documents and laptops and sat in desks and stuff like that, which is very bad. But yeah, you are right. It was.
If you take classified material, if you take legal documents out of the Capitol, I mean, I'm sorry, but I feel like there's a sedition charge there. There's an espionage charge there. There's national security concerns at stake. I think these people, this is going to go on for a while.
Oh, this is going to be a whole thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have not even come close to the end of this, but God, I lost my thought. So yes,
yeah,
you were right. It was comedic in the way that they showed up and were like, "How what?"
Right. It's like, I mean, they had a plan. I guess they didn't get caught because their plan was and this is not overstating it. They were going to grab the representatives, take them outside, hold a Legion of Doom Super Friends style mock trial, and hang them. And they had built nooses. They had built gallows outside, which I'm like, yeah, that speaks to intent. I'm sorry, that's not just for show, and it's like, oh, you want to be taken seriously. That's actually the last thing you want. We'll take you seriously. And there's gonna be a lot of people going to jail. I did learn something because somebody was saying, like, they said, well, God, can you imagine if a bunch of Democrats and leftists and socialists did that and we went and built nooses? And I pointed out something. We don't build nooses. We do guillotines. The left does guillotines, the right. It's that we have our own methods of execution. That's how you know it wasn't Antifa, because if it was a bunch of Antifa people that showed up, there would be a guillotine, not a noose, not a gallows. We execute people in entirely different ways. We murder fantasy very differently.
Which is surprisingly funny that you were exactly right.
I mean, it's easy to laugh about now because it's over. I mean, so
it's over, yeah.
And I wasn't laughing at the time. I was looking on in perverse fascination, I guess, because I really didn't think they were going to take where I got nervous. The thing that scared me was during the riots in Portland, in Seattle, there were protests going on here in Detroit, although there were never any riots. There were just marches. Nothing happened. But they were, so when they started sending out the equivalent of the brown shirts, the unmarked people from God knows what agency started showing up and nabbing people off the street at random. That scared me. I honestly thought that was the end of America right there. Good luck, everyone. It's fucking over. Because that was like, that's not even law enforcement. That was like, what the fuck was that?
Yes, guys. It's the Gestapo. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even. That's not exaggeration. These people had no rank, no badges. They were not officially, I mean, visibly affiliated with any federal or law enforcement agency. They were fucking randos that were just rounding people up. And I'm sorry, but I know that not everybody they rounded up was a threat because I saw a freaking video of some of this. Like, it was on YouTube. It was that scared me.
Yeah.
That was where, you start wanting to go buy a gun, carry a weapon in your glove box, etc. That's where you start thinking about, like, damn, this is now. But I mean, once that had passed, and I don't know that I assume it's passed, or the media just got bored and moved on to other things, but I feel like the local people here I'd be hearing about it if they were still here in town, but that worried me. But the Capitol thing, yeah, it's just, I don't know what the
ineptitude of it was just
yeah.
So, but no, if we're talking about things that freaked me out over the last 4 years,
absolutely.
What really got me more than anything was not the individual groups of the riots or anything like that. It was the individuals that started coming out of the woodworks.
Right. The independent actors.
Yeah, because when you read like that kid who went out and shot
Rittenhouse. Yeah.
protester, yeah, like
Yeah. And he wasn't a local. He came from across state lines, drove in. Freaking mom drove him in.
I don't know the full story on that. Like, but
Uh,
yeah, those types that are they're real danger
right.
because you know mobs can work themselves up and do something stupid as we saw in the Capitol. And then they came in and they're like, we have it, we did it, and then but they didn't do anything with it. But like, it's the guys who had like the pipe bombs.
Well, and being in the I mean, speaking as a member of one of the targeted communities, I mean, what was your experience with that in terms of either firsthand or friends of yours or people you knew?
Well, I live in the most I live in the Bay Area, so I didn't experience a lot of the thing, but I've heard, you know, horror stories in general just from the LGBTQ community. I don't know how many extra letters we have now. Queer community.
Right. I had to have a conversation with my dad. My dad is a dyed-in-the-wool conservative, right-wing Republican, not quite a Trump guy, but I mean, he voted for him twice. And he was asking about the Q. He said, "What's the Q? I don't understand the Q." And I said, "Queer." And he said, "What? That's a bad word. I'm not supposed to call them queers. I didn't. Well, I used to get in trouble for that." I'm like, okay, it's an adjective, not a noun. let's start with that. But go on. I'm sorry about the distraction.
But yeah, no, it's again, it's the problem with the Karens. That's been the problem.
Yeah.
Because what really happened with that was they just felt empowered. You know, they're like, we won, we don't have to hide anymore, and then that's where the damage started happening.
So you had blacks and Latinos having the police called on them for things like walking into their own homes and driving their own cars. I would imagine there was probably no shyness about confronting transgender people in various places.
No,
About things, and then of course the
yeah, and like it was. So again, I'm not going to try to diminish all the bad legislative things that happened, and you know that, but because there's a complete other topics to get into the corporate end of what happened.
Yeah.
But
like you said, though, that's not, I almost can't even blame that on Trump. Like, Trump was the least of the corporate and the economic stuff. That's 50 years of history, or
that's
130 some years of history. That's, that's, I almost tell you one, I'll give Trump a pass for the things like corporate tax cuts and shit that Republicans would do anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's who they empowered.
Exactly. It's these just foaming at the mouth, like unfortunate people who got drawn into, call it what it is, a cult at this point.
Yes.
Like, because and it's terrible to me because a lot of these individuals could have been, like, I don't want to say saved.
Okay.
But, like, okay, I might be a little off track here, but, like, so the damage from Trump and the real fake news, which has been, like, the stuff on Facebook, the Q stuff, that kind of thing,
right,
really incentivized these and brought these people together.
Yeah.
And once you get in this echo chamber, the crazy doesn't sound as crazy anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, you get in there. Let's say you're someone who lost their job, and you're a right-leaning white guy.
Yeah.
Who's sees that they took our jobs, guy.
Right, and there's no shortage of them, and there certainly are suffering.
And they,
for the reasons they think.
And they go on to, and they're on Facebook because, they have all the time now. And they're looking for, and they see a funny post about, like, that they think is funny. And they go to that Facebook page. And then that Facebook page leads them to like-minded people where they start riffing off each other. Yeah, yeah, and then the real nasty bit is then since they're in this echo chamber, they start. Well, I trust so and so because he believes in the same things I do. So
Right.
if he says that these Democrats are doing X or Y, they must be because I trust so and so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I haven't, I mean, my Facebook page is very insulated. So I just block the right. I don't even deal with them anymore. But like where I've noticed it, the thing that you're describing also, YouTube, holy shit. And I see these
yeah,
guys, like I have a friend's daughter, who she's introduced me to some of like, you know, like these are the channels kids are listening to these days. So, you know, she'll show me some stuff and it's like funny stuff. It's pranks or it's a guy playing a video game or it's movie reviews. And, you know, it's your typical YouTube fare and it's funny. And these guys have some, you know, nominal amount of talent and they put some effort into it. They're not PewDiePie, but I mean, they, you know, they do a good show and they have a charisma and they connect with people. And then as I'm flipping through the video list, eventually I come to a, you know, how feminism and women are ruining everything version.
exactly.
You go in, and the thing is, this girl, this teenage girl, and it's not new to say that teenage girls have been saying they hate feminism as a way to get teenage boys for like forever. That's nothing new. But now I see, like, I'm seeing her get sucked into this and having an idea about what it means to be liberal, what it means to be feminist, etc. And they're getting this from, as you pointed out. So here's this guy, and I've seen all these funny videos, and he's made me laugh. And he talks about he likes some of the same movies I like, and he hates some of the movies I hate. And I've been watching them, and then suddenly, now we're going to be hit with this video about how feminism is ruining everything. And if I mean, again, it's completely one-sided. It's a lot of just out and out lies and straw men and bullshit. But as you say, we've already gotten some stuff we believe. You know, we've established that rapport. You've made that connection, and now I'm going to sneak in the other side of the agenda.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like, and then these people who are really good at doing this, the recruiting and like grooming and that kind of thing, but you know, they've trained for this. They know how to get people in. It's
And even
whole,
if you get the innocuous person who's just doing this as a laugh, the algorithm will say, oh, you like this guy. Well, this other guy also has a video that bashes feminism. So it's like you get these perverse interconnections from these AI algorithms, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, whatever, social media. And yeah, you get steered into these echo chambers. And it's a very
yeah.
effective business model for the companies.
Well,
Because
and we as humans, that's the thing, we're programmed to want to thrive and find these echo chambers. Like I know my community that I've created for myself is an echo chamber,
right.
and I accept that and I know that.
Yeah.
But the thing is I don't remember the scientific study, but it was when like a worldview that you have is challenged,
Right.
or attacked, the same part of your brain goes off as the pain centers.
Right. Right. Well, that makes sense because I can't get 5 seconds into a Dennis Prager video without feeling physical pain. So
Exactly.
I
And so,
I cannot do it. It is too physically pain. It hurts my brain, my ears, my eyes.
and so therefore, and you said it earlier, you have cut the right-wing people out of
Right.
your zone to avoid those headaches and the pain centers and the rage. And the right is doing the exact same
Well,
thing.
I mean, you know, it may, and let's recognize, I just admitted my own bias, and I'm not going to deny it. But at the same time, it's like I started my blog, and this goes back even before the podcast. I had a blog that I wrote my thoughts on. You know, it never went anywhere, whatever. It's actually, though, how we first met was that you gave me sort of an email interview back during the Mock Girl days for IMHO, the blog. And I started out full of idealism and I'm gonna take all comers and I'm never gonna block anybody, and if somebody comes at me with some bullshit, I'm gonna go after them with, you know, what has Ben Shapiro put it, facts and logic or whatever. Like he would know facts and logic if it bit him in the ass. But you know, that's how I started out. And then it's just like you start recognizing certain patterns. You start recognizing that it's like you're not even trying to win, you're just trying to annoy me. You're not trying to win. You're just trying to derail the conversation. You're more concerned with whether or not I'm a hypocrite than the fucking issue we're talking about. Like all these, like it's bad arguing. It's really just bad arguing tactics. But it's actually kind of hard to win an argument. But it's very easy to just frustrate the hell out of the other person to where they say, fuck it, it ain't worth it anymore.
Yeah.
And 16 years later, or whatever it's been, because I started that 12 years later, I guess that was early part of the Obama administration. It's not even worth it because, I've yet to really find a conservative who's interested in having a real debate. What I find, which is much easier to find, is trolls, right-wing trolls who just want to sling bullshit. And I mean, I'll do that. That's fine. Although Facebook is now policing me very in the last 6 months. I think I've had about 14 days of access in my Facebook account. So I need to make some sock accounts or something. But I get like the last time I came off a 30-day ban and I got into another 30-day ban within an hour. So in the last 60 days, I have had less than 1 hour of Facebook access. So they're policing. I can't do the mudslinging anymore. They're watching me do it. And plus, it's like, they're going to bait me just enough. They're not going to say the magic words, but they're going to get me to say the magic words. And then boom, it's like, okay, but they're going to whine about how Facebook is biased against conservatives or whatever. It's like, oh my God, just like the liberal media, I guess.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying, first off, I wasn't trying to call you out. What I was trying to do is I was trying to show that it is human nature.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, but I guess it is human nature, and there's certainly no question that we do it and that our brains react the same way. But I guess I feel like, and this kind of goes into the next thing. I want to talk about where do we go from here? But before we get into that, I just want to say, like, my problem with it is I hate both sidesing issues. It's like not many issues really have a both sides. Most issues, it's one side is making a reasonable argument, and the other side is slinging monkey shit. And it's like, that's not both sides. The reality is not halfway between these two. It's over here, and this side is just full of bullshit.
No, and I agree, 100%.
And how do you argue against that? But I guess before we get into the whole where do we go from here, I want to ask you about the inauguration and the election of Joe Biden, because I seem to remember this was one of those rare days that I had access to my Facebook account. And I put up something about, I don't know what it was. I mean, I was never a Biden guy. Biden was my last choice, honestly, because I didn't think he could win. I thought he had the worst chance of anybody. I thought Trump would eat him alive. And Trump was, I almost want to say, uncharacteristically quiet on the campaign. It just didn't seem like I don't know where he went in the last 4 years. Like the vim and vigor that he went after Clinton with, I didn't see that with him going after Biden. I don't know if he just rested on his laurels or thought I have my cult, or I can't lose because I'm Donald Trump or whatever, but it didn't feel the same way. But putting that,
he was a white guy.
I was, well, yeah, and male establishment, I guess. But and I was never a Biden guy because I thought that he is not going to excite people the way that Warren might, Buttigieg might, Sanders might. I mean, all different wings. But he had no wing. His wing was the most boring wing of all, the establishment wing. But I remember when he finally won, or when it looked like he was going to win, and I put up a Facebook post saying, well, it looks like Biden's going to win. Let's all get behind him, not repeat 2016 or something like that. You replied with a GIF in the comments that looked kind of like this. It was an animated person putting their thumb down and sticking their tongue out. And I get it. I'm not even saying you were wrong, because that is, I didn't even reply to it because I was like, yeah, pretty much. That's kind of.
I mean, yeah, I get behind him. I think a friend of mine, who I actually do a lot of streaming with, said it best. Let's get behind Biden so we can start hating.
Wait, what?
Let's get behind Biden.
Yeah.
So we can start hating him and calling him on his shit.
Oh, right. Because you'll get somewhere with Biden and nowhere with Trump, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
that's kind of how I felt about Clinton 4 years ago.
Yeah, I thoroughly dislike Biden. I really dislike Biden. Like, yeah. He is establishment to the core. He's got this whole unity kick, which we actually don't need right now. Unity is,
and we want to talk about that. We want to put a bit in that for a second, but we'll get to the unity thing for sure. Yeah.
But at the very least, he's not batshit crazy town.
Right. Right.
And if that's the selling point, we're in trouble, and we are in trouble. But
well, we are in trouble because that is the selling point.
And I'm not going to deny this. I was firmly a Sanders supporter.
Yeah.
Mainly just because I'm like, maybe we could actually push the left to the direction the left needs to be.
Right.
To actually make some changes.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, I voted for Sanders both times in the primary, both in 2016 and in 2020. And I was never in fact, I pissed off a lot of Bernie or Busters because I'm sitting here going blue no matter who, and I'm still very much blue no matter who, because like take the world as it is. And not everybody likes that. And I understand. I don't argue with people because you're not wrong. It's like, no, this sucks. Okay, but it's like I can lose 10 times or I can win once and have 9 ties. I'd rather have that, or win once or win never. I'll take it. You know, like something. Give me something. And it wasn't even like I got warned so many times in the last 4 years by people to the left of me and people that I've been in, you know, Facebook friends or you know, former guests and whatnot. Don't let this asshole rehabilitate Bush. don't rehabilitate Bush. Don't look back at the Bush years and say, because I think I said, like a lot of people were saying, you know, I miss Obama, and just to like drive it home, I was like, Christ, at this point, I miss Bush. I mean, you know, it's like
at least Bush's.
I would take Bush over this. This is and I despise George Bush.
Oh, I hate George Bush too, but at the very least, you. So okay, here's my thing about this was my best analogy coming out. Like, so Mike Pence is Lex Luthor.
Okay.
Trump is the Joker.
You might be giving him too much credit, but I see where you're going, and I like it. Yeah.
Well, no, it's because, you know, Mike Pence, you know he's evil. You know he's going to do stuff. You know he's going to...
Trump was so unpredictable.
Yeah, and Trump is like, you know, you don't know if you're going to get Kofifi or let's put kids in cages. Like,
or I mean, we almost were. I mean, I will give him credit. You know, to anyone who's going to say, "Well, you liberals just hate everything Trump did," I'm going to name 3 things he did right here. I will give credit where it's due. He pardoned Jack Johnson. I like that. He banned bump stocks. I mean, I thought the Democrats were coming for your guns. It turns out the only meaningful gun legislation in the last 20 years was signed into law by Donald J. Trump. And what was the third one? Oh, yeah, we didn't actually start any new wars, although we really came close.
We came close.
Times. Like, what the hell? I don't think it is to his credit. I think it is in spite of everything he did. We didn't start any new wars. But hey, credit where it's due. We didn't start any new wars. So there you go. I can say a good thing about Donald Trump and objectively analyze him and still say, yes, he's the worst president that either didn't cause a global depression or literally split the country in two. Literally, not figuratively, not politically, literally, geographically split the country in two. I'm still gonna, you know. So no, I think this is an objective look, but I think, like you say, I mean, not being batshit insane was somehow a selling point, and enough to get a guy elected, and pretty solidly. I mean, by the time the votes all came in. So what I wanted to ask you though, given that was your initial response, what between once the election was finally decided, and that was a nail biter because it like on election night, I was so glad I wasn't broadcasting because I went Facebook Live during the Clinton race. And I went in, I started the evening really thinking there's no chance Clinton has this in the bag. And as the broadcast went on, and I started looking at Wisconsin really closely, and I started looking at other, and I'm like, holy shit, she's not going to win. Like a lot of pundits were having that moment, but I was on all night. I am so glad I was not doing that. I was actually on a Facebook ban, so I couldn't. But I was so glad that I wasn't because it was the same thing. And in fact, on election night, Trump had won solidly because only Republicans were dumb enough to go and vote in person in the middle of a pandemic. All the Democrats voted by mail. And he told his own people, oh, that's fake, that's fraud, don't vote by mail. Voting by mail is bad, even though he's voted absentee for like the last 20 years. But they were so convinced that was not the right way to vote that they all voted in person, and those are the votes that are counted first. So I'm looking at the electoral map on election night like, we fucking blew it. I was right about Biden. He can't win. And then I realized, wait a minute. it's like 40% of the vote counted, and I realized the other 60% is everybody who mailed in. And like from cities, urban areas seem to be the last to be counted and have the most mail in. And I'm like, these are Democratic areas voting by mail. I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's not over yet at all. And the states started to trickle in. Michigan flips back first, then Wisconsin, then Georgia was one of the last. But we saw like Arizona, and it was very close. But it was like, you know, the trend just kept going, and at the end of the day, the only voter fraud, the only actual attempt at any large-scale voter fraud was 2 different instances of Republicans coming up heavily armed in SUVs full of Trump ballots that they were trying to force the canvassers to count.
Yeah.
but all right, but after all the craziness, after it was settled and after it was clear, you know, let's just say it took about a week after election night, when it's clear Biden was going, between that point and between the inauguration, what's going through your head? I mean, what are you thinking? Are you feeling like we made it? Is it a sigh of relief? Is it immediately roll up the sleeves and now we got work to do? Or is there, I mean, like, what's going through your head after 4 years of this? And then it's like, oh, fuck, it's over. The nightmare is the nightmare over?
No.
For you? I mean, it is for me, sort of. But I mean, where are you in all of that?
The nightmare's not over, man.
I like it. But take me only to that month in between basically the month of December 2020 and the first couple weeks of January.
Okay.
I mean, where are you? Where's your head in during that time period?
Well, okay, my head was thankful that we're finally going to get the obvious things that needed to get done. Because if as much as I don't like Joe Biden, he's competent.
Right.
So we're at the very least going to see things like, COVID relief and that kind of things that will actively stop people from dying. I'm all for that.
Not actively killing people. Yeah, that's a policy I can get behind. I mean, depends.
That's a policy,
but that's generally a policy I'll get behind.
But I was actually mostly concerned about the Senate during that time.
That's a good point because yeah, if Georgia goes, and Georgia was decided razor thin, and you know we're losing one of those seats in the next election. I mean, period. They're not going to repeat that. That was a special case, and Trump was fresh on people's heads, and you know. Yeah,
and so, but what has to happen? What my brain was going through is if we don't get this, nothing still gets done.
Right, McConnell.
McConnell is going to do his.
He did for 8 years under Obama.
Yeah, he's going to do his.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, and nothing's going to get done. But and this is why the whole Facebook thumbs down is because Biden is trying to do this. Let's get together and all hold hands and and not be radical enough to do the things that need to be done in the Senate to fix the systemic problems from happening. Basically, if Mitch McConnell has broken the Senate.
Yes.
And it's been broken for years, and we haven't had control of it for so long. And that's been the stopgap. And so that's why no positive legislation has gotten through. Now that we have it, we have to stop placating these asshats.
Right.
And push through legislation that they're going to call, it's not bipartisan, and because it can't be. No. We have to get rid of a lot of we have to make it so the minority or the majority leader can't just say no. And
certainly, the way that McConnell set it up, if there had been some weird scenario where Trump had won, but the Democrats ended up controlling the Senate, because of what McConnell did, Schumer could effectively just stop everything. But then the question is, if the House of Representatives is still under the control of the Democrats, does he want to stop anything? He just ends up pushing a bunch of shit that Trump vetoes. And yeah, you're right. There's too many places where it gets stopped. But then as I think about eliminating the filibuster, I just remember, as you pointed out already, how many times in the last, the majority of the last, since 2000, the last 20 years, the Republicans have controlled the Senate. And it's like, and so if you don't have a filibuster, and granted, even the filibuster, it's not like the Democrats have ever really mounted a successful filibuster for anything meaningful anyway. I mean,
Well, and I'm not even talking the filibuster. I'm talking like the lost in committee nonsense.
oh, yeah.
All this stuff that there's hundreds upon hundreds of ways to just
Yeah.
grind actual progressive legislation to a halt.
And we can't benefit from that in the majority because it's like it's meant to do exactly what you said. It's meant to stop things. It's not meant to actually push things through. And we're trying to get things done. And there's no new ways to do that.
Yeah, and so this is where my brain. This is why I've been having concerns this past like month. You asked where my brain was. I was concerned about Georgia. Once that was finally settled, and we found out that we actually gained control of the House, now I'm concerned that we're not going to do what needs to get done.
Well,
we can't.
You can forget your concern. I'll guarantee you, we're not going to get done what needs to get done. The list is too long. It's not. We're not.
We're even moving in the right direction. We're just. Democrats are so good at losing.
I've often put it this way. I say Democrats are terrible at implementing great ideas, and the Republicans are great at implementing terrible ideas.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't, and I understand because we're more, we want to be the party of let's all get together and do the right thing and all that, but we can't be, not in these times. We can get there.
That may be why the Capitol thing might have been a good thing. When AOC calls out Ted Cruz and says, you know what, bipartisanship is great, but you tried to have me killed 2 weeks ago, maybe sit this one out. And it's like, I think that might have actually completely broken any chance of bipartisanship being a goal among the House or the senators. Biden can say what he wants. And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of lip service because I don't see the effort to reconcile. I don't know if it's because of the Capitol. I don't know if it's just he's reading the room. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely in left field and just missing the obvious here. But I'm cautiously optimistic that he remembers what happened to his boss 12 years ago when Obama thought he was going to be the post-partisan president. And the Republicans were like, oh, no, you're not. We're not going to give you shit. We're going to make sure. I mean, here we are in the middle of the worst economic crisis in the world, and they literally are working against him fixing it.
Yeah.
And with the pandemic, it's like deja vu. Biden has to hit the ground running on a fucking huge crisis. And it's like this is just like when Obama came in, except it's medical instead of economic. Yeah, but it's like well, every time we come into power, there's like a flaming train wreck going on, and you guys are like, well, we're not going to give you a fire extinguisher. No. We need to preserve water. Suddenly, suddenly the deficit is their big concern again. But I just get a different vibe. And again, maybe it's my wild optimism looking for something that isn't there. But I get a different. I don't get this. I do not get Biden trying to be the post-partisan president the way that Obama did. I feel maybe there was a lesson learned, and maybe that was driven home by the ridiculous events of between the Capitol riot and everything else, and just maybe the last year or so of QAnon and Proud Boys and Charlottesville and literal Nazis walking in the street. And I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Well, and it's less about Biden. Like at this point, I could care less. I've never really. Okay, I cared about the president because the president can go to war.
Yeah.
Or not even war. He can call strategic strikes, which is pretty much war.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump killed 200,000 people with 5 words. This is their new hoax.
Yeah, exactly.
5 words. And 200,000. I don't know how many, if he had gotten on board with the COVID stuff and not been like literally saying the wrong thing every single opportunity, a lot of people would have died anyway. A lot of people are going to die. It was a pandemic. It was deadly. I'm going to go with half, somewhere between 0 and all. I'll just start with half. But I'm going to say 200,000 people died because he said those 5 words. And that's the power of the presidency.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's the figure. But Biden is milquetoast enough that I could care less.
That's the perfect word for him.
Like I could care less. He's gonna do his thing. He's gonna sign bills. He's gonna sign executive orders to bring us back to the Paris Accords and stuff like that. Good. I'm just ignoring him at this point. Like he's gonna do his thing. He's gonna sign all the bills that come through. Yay. My problem is the Senate in particular.
Yeah.
Because we're at such a, like, we're at a 50-50 split. That only happened like 3 times ever.
Right.
And
Joe
all it takes
still has a job.
Yeah. And it only takes one Democrat, like centrist or something like that, or we all need to work together to just throw a wrench in the entire operation.
Yes. Every
so that's
Democrat can ask for anything they want because every single one of them is needed.
Exactly. So therefore, that's where that's why I'm so, that's why when you ask how do I feel about this, and I said it's not over, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Is because the Democrats are going to be playing partisan.
Well, bipartisan.
Yeah, bipartisan.
You need to be more partisan.
Yeah, they're going to play bipartisan.
I feel like there's an appetite for it, though. After 4 years of Trump, as you said, they brought the left into the fold. I don't know. I'm hopeful that there's going to be bitter partisanship for the next 4 years.
I hope you're right. But out of the two of us, you've always been the optimist. I've always been the one going like.
Right. And I think it would be optimistic to say that either our track records is 50-50. I think that would be optimistic on my part. But I do think there's less of an appetite or less of a desire to be bipartisan because if nothing else, the Republicans are being told by their own base don't work with the Democrats. So it's like, okay, I mean, well, they literally can't be them. They would be punished for being bipartisan. Well, then we're done with them. We govern without them. And I've heard more than a few people in the legislature, but also in the administration say, we'll govern without them. We don't need them. We'll do every dirty trick in the book and we'll govern without them. And I hope that ends up being the case.
And I really do. I hope you're right again, but that's where my brain's at.
You mentioned the cultic aspects of this, and it really is a cult. When you, I mean, come on, you read the tenets of QAnon, which is basically just Nazism and Pizzagate rebranded and blown up on steroids. It's absurd. It's so insane. It's just and it's not like, well, don't you think human trafficking is a problem? Yeah, but you guys aren't doing shit about it. You're actually making everything worse. But if you believe that, you have to be a cult. So how do you deprogram half a country, 40% of a country?
Well, first you gotta
go from here.
I mean, my main thing is we gotta just show QAnon is a marketing ploy. I'm sorry, I've never said this to you, but QAnon for me, I'm pretty damn sure it has been just a marketing thing.
I feel like it started out as a prank. Like it started out as some guy trolling on 4chan, and it has just grown so many arms and legs and mutated. And yeah, now it's just the Tea Party for the for the 20s. More or
less. They're making so much money off the merch and stuff like that. That's what I think it is. I think it's a merch scheme.
Yeah,
gone way awry.
Right. That's an interesting point. I never even thought about that. And the thing is, you can't really. It just like Antifa. It's not an organization. You don't know who Q is for sure. There is no Q. That's a made up guy. That was again some troll on 4chan 4 years ago started some bullshit, and he probably checked back in about 2 years later. Go, oh my God, this thread has really gotten insane. But yeah, anybody can make QAnon merch. Anybody can slap a Q on something and sell it. So there you go. You and I we have to cash in on this. We have to make some Q merch that is like it actually is critical of it, but in an ironic way that they won't get, and then sell it to them for like way overpriced. I love this. This is a good opportunity here.
But yeah, so
how do you
I mean, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a deprogrammer or things like that. But it's hard because the internet has become such an insular place. Back to my point I made a while ago, it's a very insular place where you find the people that you want to find and then you hang with them. And it's made it a lot easier. When you were the Coup who believed that the pizza guy down the street was harboring children, people were just like, that guy's crazy. Put on some pants.
And then a guy shows up with an AR-15 only to find out that the, Comet Pizza restaurant doesn't actually have a basement.
Yeah,
And
but
you don't have children chained up in the basement because there is no basement.
but so yeah, but if it was like back in the day, he's just a crazy guy. But then the internet has made it so that people can get together and be like crazy together.
And there was a part of me 8 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe even still 4 years ago, that probably would have, in fact, I know 4 years ago, because people were debating hate crime legislation, not hate crime, hate speech legislation and whatnot. And I mean, back then, I was the staunch defender of free speech, and I will still defend free speech from one point of view. We can pass all the hate speech limitations you want, but make no mistake, we're not always going to be in power. And once you open that door, they're going to take that and they're going to like make blasphemy a crime again. And they're going to make criticizing the Bible or pointing out inconsistencies of the Bible a hate crime against Christians or whatever. Like that will absolutely be perverted. But on a basic level, like I just would have, there was a time in my life that I would have argued for free speech just out of principle. And in the last 4 to 8 years, I've seen free speech weaponized to such a degree and to such an effective degree that would not have been possible 30, 40 years ago when these conspiracy theories and whatnot were relegated to the back pages of crank magazines sold in like truck stops and shit that nobody took seriously and everybody knew you were a kook. And now, and maybe it's the internet, maybe it's something in the water, maybe we're being poisoned by Russian chemtrails, I don't know, pick something. But it's people believe this shit now to the point that we've elected members of Congress. I mean, nobody was elected. There were no 9/11 truthers elected to Congress. There were no Kennedy assassination conspiracy fanatics elected to Congress. There were no pick anything. There were no Area 51, let's get to the truth people elected to Congress. But there are more than one QAnon person and MAGA person and whatnot elected to Congress on, these, and the Republicans are trying to like, stop talking about this, stop, because it's embarrassing. It's so fucking stupid. It's embarrassing to the Republicans. I want her to keep talking. I hope Marjorie Greene never shuts up. I mean, unless she's removed from the House, which she should be, for the sake of her own constituents, if nothing else. As you said, it's nice to have somebody representing you that's not batshit insane.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, I don't know how you fix this, how we heal as a country, because America's not wounded; it's infected. Okay, this isn't a wound that's going to heal with bed rest. No, this is an infection. This is a cancer that needs to be cut out if we are to recover from it. And if anybody thinks I'm being hyperbolic here, Adolf Hitler's first coup was in 1923. The Nazis came to power in 1932, 33, 10 years later. The beer hall putsch was a colossal failure. And half the people got arrested and, Hitler had to flee the country and all that. Came back 10 years later, then took over. So it's like, no, right now what we're dealing with was a failed coup. That capital thing was the beer hall putsch for these people, basically. But when you have Fox News, and not just Fox News, shit, that's not even right wing enough for these people anymore. You've got OAN and all the internet stuff and the YouTube stuff and all the alternative press that used to be, again, relegated to the back pages of truck stop magazines. Now it's mainstream. Now it's mainstream, and it is not informing people. It is not having a debate. It is actively propagandizing and effectively propagandizing people to the point that the people who leave QAnon, it's like, I lost my whole family. I gave them all my money. I quit. I lost my job. I'm facing charges now. Boo fucking who? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit about you because you're a fucking moron. Because how could you believe any of this shit in the first place? And the reason is they were predestined or preconditioned to believe this stuff because they were already racists and misogynists and homophobes and transphobic, etc. There was a reason this message resonated with them.
Some of them weren't, and that's the problem. They got radicalized. I
don't know that
you're right. The majority of them are right, but you got radicalized.
Yeah, but you can red pill people. That's true. I've seen.
Yeah, you can.
Pretty strong progressives get red pilled over the years.
Exactly, and so, but
how do you stop that? How do you?
Well,
stop that without saying, okay, that's it, free speech, we're done, fuck you all, we're not doing it anymore. Like, you can't be trusted with it, clearly.
Well, since we're living in a cyberpunk dystopian hellscape, we might as well lean into it and hope our corporate overlords continue the trend.
Okay. Well, in other words, what they're calling cancel culture, more or less. We just have to play the game better than they do. Cancel culture, aka the free market, bitches. When we do it,
Yeah. So, like,
we're just playing the fucking game. We're doing it better, though.
Let's make it so. Like, for instance, I'm the only reason I actually have a Facebook account anymore is because I have to have it to use my Oculus, my VR headset.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only reason I have it anymore. But, like, let's if we really want to start moving those platforms, let's actually punch where it matters in the books of the people who are actually kind of in charge, which is the big companies like
Facebook, and Google, and YouTube,
and we saw that, when when those guys attacked the Capitol, and all those videos and accounts got pulled from Twitter and things like that. Let's keep trying to get stuff like that happen. Let's push these companies to do that by doing the only thing that matters to them, by not engaging anymore.
Right.
So, like,
and yeah, I mean, honestly, when these Jordan Peterson types and Ben Shapiro types and Milo and these other nimrods want to go and try to indoctrinate kids on college campuses, and the students step up and say, "Oh, hell no, you're not getting my tuition money," and the university goes, "Sorry, keep stepping," "Oh, my free speech. Fuck you. I'm not required to pay for your free speech. You're selling a product I don't want. You don't get my money. That's no different than if I don't like the candy bars at the store, I don't buy them. It's the free
exactly.
market. I don't have to give you my money. It's not cancel culture, it's the free market.
Free speech is different. So it's just these people don't realize that free speech isn't what they think it is.
Well, yeah, no, clearly.
You can say whatever the hell you want.
I'm joking when I'm like, free speech is over, whatever. That's hyperbole. But yeah, no, it isn't what they think it is, for sure.
Yeah, like, free speech means you can say whatever the hell you want. That doesn't mean that someone else can't shut you down for it.
Right.
Like, if you're sitting on Twitter screaming, like, there was no Holocaust, there's, Democrats are drinking babies' blood, blah, blah. And you get kicked off Twitter,
or you lose your job because you're an embarrassment to your company.
Exactly. That isn't denial of free speech. That's literally just dealing with stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I look at it, especially, and I think Facebook is making a big mistake right now. Go figure. They're constantly banning me, so clearly I don't like what they're doing. But I mean, even putting that aside, they're really trying to both sides of this thing. I think what the Facebook people want is everybody shows up, gives us their information, posts a few cute pictures, and goes the fuck home. They don't actually want to be a flame-throwing political platform. And they're set up to be that way, but they don't want that. And so what they're trying to do right now is shut down both sides and let's have a cooling off period. No, because we're going to get right back to it when these bans are over, and we'll just make new accounts if you ban us completely. Like, that's not going to end. And I feel like would be a better strategy for Facebook, for YouTube, for Twitter, for any Google, whatever, is take a side, man. Take a side. Decide we're going to be on this side or that side. And we're going to lean into it. And you know what? Yeah, we are going to censor. We are going to favor. We are going to decide that the truth is not halfway between sanity and insanity. It's like, no, we're going to actually take a side and lean into it. And we're going to sell that. That's going to be a selling point. They tried it with Parler. And they tried it with Parler. It didn't work. But again, if a company decides we're going to be the right-wing YouTube or whatever, or YouTube splits up and we have liberal YouTube and conservative YouTube, it's like it would actually be good for business. But I mean, at the same time, I got my last Facebook ban was because I posted a picture of the Capitol protests, but it was captioned making fun of the people that were there. So clearly I'm not supporting insurrection and terrorism and violence. I was condemning it. But the picture was a picture of the Capitol building, and I got a 30-day ban for supporting violence.
Well, that's the algorithm, and AI is looking at pictures and stuff like that.
But at some
But
point, side, man, just take a side. You're going to be accused of it anyway.
And here's where I'm going to kind of call you out there, Eddie.
Yeah.
Leave Facebook.
I know I'm a bit lazy on that front. It's a very easy. It gives me exactly what I want when I'm able to access it. And they may force me to. They may force my hand in that. But it does. I have a community there, you know, and that's where ultimately where this will end up getting posted. You know, and
or do what I did and have it. Like when I release my new book or something like that, I'm going to post on Facebook.
We're going to talk about that. Let's get on. We've beaten this to death, but go ahead.
You've beaten this to death, but like I own it still. I'll post information out there, but I'm not going to engage anymore. It's a company I do not want to support because of the reasons you're saying. Yeah. And they are our corporate overlords at this point.
And the private stuff is just absurd with them because they totally sell our data. We know that. I mean,
oh yeah, you can request to see what data they sell to people. I've done it. It's terrifying. Yeah. And that's what I was saying a few minutes ago. Was just that's what we have to do. Is since our governments aren't doing it, let's use their favorite tool against them, the free market, to push the buttons in our direction. We've already started doing that.
Yeah.
Trump has been banned from Twitter. Let's keep doing this shit.
So when we hear them whining about cancel culture, we need to say, yay, cancel culture, basically, and lean into that hard and use it as a hammer. Use the free market against them. Yeah. I could get behind that. Yeah. I could get behind that.
If Facebook keeps doing stuff like we don't want both siding, then one side needs to get up and go, peace.
Well, I think maybe I need to start saying things like bless your cotton socks instead of go fuck yourself, you stupid moron. that might, you know, maybe I just need to be a little bit nice.
I mean, that's an option. I post My Little Pony gifs. Like it's not relevant anymore, but that's what I do. When someone says something stupid, I'll have a picture of, you know, Pony going like, ugh.
So let's talk about the book because hey, you wrote a book.
I wrote 2 books. The second one's coming out soon.
Well, you haven't written 2 books yet. You're writing a second book, but you wrote a book and it's out.
Yes.
And it was really cool. So tell people a little bit about what this is all about, because this was a really, I didn't know that, what was it called, gamer fic or gamer lit? I didn't actually realize this was even a genre, but really, and it's not really a big genre. It's a niche, but it was really cool how you did this. So tell people.
There's 2 genres, and I'm probably going to mix them up because I actually didn't even know it was a genre, but until I was told I was writing in it. It's like, I think it's lit RPG and game lit.
Yeah,
are the 2 genres that are out there. I come from the old school sci-fi bubble.
Right.
Like, you know, that's always been my wheelhouse, is I've been a sci-fi girl for like all my life.
It didn't take long for Mock Girl to get really weird.
Yeah, and well, that's actually has to do with my writing style more than anything.
Right.
But this actually concept has been brewing for longer than that comic has.
Mm. And what to summarize this for the people that are listening who haven't read Another Online All Hail the Queen, which was the first book in what is going to be a series. What exactly? Give the 9 books, 9 planned
9 books.
What is this? What is the setting? What is the setup? Because this is a really interesting concept.
Okay, so basically, the idea is it's an unknown set into the future. I haven't revealed how far in the future it is yet.
Right.
But
games aren't quite this cool yet.
Games aren't this quite cool yet. Right. But basically, people can get online and with VR headsets, or actually full-on mind integration.
Right.
Gaming.
Which you don't actually discover exactly how involved they are until the second book. Which
exactly,
is but I've had the privilege of reading about the first roughly half of it so far. So
you might want to restart. It's changed quite a bit. But yeah, the concept is that people get on the games and they have, you know, a fun gaming time. Blah blah. It's a classic like
World of Warcraft, RuneScape, something along those lines is sort of the way the game is set up. A little bit like
exactly, just a way more advanced version of that.
Yeah.
But what I asked myself was, well, how could a company that doesn't want to spend a ton of money make a really immersive game, insanely immersive game?
Right.
And the answer to that was what companies are good at doing: abusing and like uh, using people. So the concept is they went around before their big game launch and were like, at the shopping malls or out in public, hey, would you like to get $20 to do this, thing that only takes 2 minutes? Just sign, yeah, just come over here, get put this headset on, look at these colored cards, and you're good to go,
Right.
And so they copied and digitized people's brains,
Yeah.
and then abused and they enslaved them.
Well, those AIs became the monsters and the NPCs
Of the game.
and
And
also,
forced,
yeah,
and were forced into roles and things like that. So, for instance, there's a system hive mind that watches everyone and keeps you in place.
right. You can't break character, so
Yeah.
it's a role-playing scenario. You have to role play, and these are not. They're the humans on the outside world that are playing the game. We're not even talking about them yet. We're talking about characters in the world. Like the main character starts out as a lowly shopkeeper who sells swords and shields and shit to potions, whatever, to people that come in. And everybody who's ever played one of these games has seen the shopkeeper. I go in, I buy some stuff, I give them gold, I get on my life. Maybe I say something rude on the way out the door. But if that person was an AI, a true AI that had had in fact sentience, but they were stuck in a store that they couldn't leave.
Yeah, the main character.
It was so horrifying to think of. They're stuck doing any one of 52 preset actions, saying any number of like 150 preset words, but they still had sentience. And it's like, can you just imagine? And you couldn't break character or the system would punish you for it.
Yes, things like showing, giving sensation of drowning or getting stabbed or things like that, depending on your severity of your action.
So there's this big like 1984 feel to it to some extent, the Big Brother, the constant surveillance, but we're not even talking about, I don't want to say real people because the characters are very real. They're very compelling. You forget that you're reading about a series of ones and zeros, a digitized mind. They're sentient because of the advanced AI and the fact that they scanned actual people's brains in order to create these humans or people within the game. And the story is told from the point of view of one of these lowly NPCs that kind of glitches her way into glory, so to speak.
Yeah, it's literally because of 2 words or a sentence that changes the entirety of the game. And again, it's it always interested me, like, because I'm those of you that don't know, I'm on top of comic writing and things like that. I've actually been a professional game designer for a decent portion of my life. I after my stint at a company that might have something that rhymes with Microsoft, I decided to leave the industry because it's a not fun place to work. Game design isn't fun, guys. Unless you're doing it just...
Video game tester. I would have thought video game tester would be the greatest job in the world. It's not. It is the most tedious fucking thing you can imagine.
It's the worst. But no, the culture is terrible, and so I got an in. I've seen behind the curtain, let's say, and seen how things are programmed, and it is held together with duct tape and string.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my concept was, what if you had a system like that's held together with duct tape and string? Just people making it work.
Right, but that the system is because again with the AI, the system also makes decisions, and can be tricked into doing things and be manipulated in and of itself. So the story, at least through book one, becomes a sort of cat and mouse game of how much can the character get away with changing the world around her and changing her own lot in life before the system just, brings the boot down on her. And there's also the human programmers who come in to like, what the hell is going on here? You were a shop. How did this all happen?
Actually, those aren't human programmers. They're AIs too.
Those are AIs too. Oh, okay. I missed that point. I thought that they're called the game masters, I believe, and I thought those were actually like people at Schmicroboft who were fixing the bug. So those were AIs as well. Those were just
the entire it says so in a chapter. You probably
I must have missed that.
A passing thing. But even the game masters, the ones who are maintaining and writing and doing all the work, are So the idea is basically that no one on the outside world is actually actively working on this game or the company at large. It's a group of like 10 people, like a board.
Their hands off at this point.
They just let the game program and maintain itself because they got a bunch of game programmers in there, copied their minds, and then enslaved them to make the game.
Well, wait a second. Then I have a question about book 2, but we're going to save that for after because it's a bit spoilery.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's a great read, guys. It's available on Amazon.
It's a short read. It's the first one was a bit short.
Okay.
It's like 70,000 words, 80,000 somewhere in there, which is on the shorter end of a novel.
Yeah.
So it's a good pulp read for a weekend. If you want a good
very quickly, it read very fast. I was really engrossed in it. I will say this, there are a lot of characters. At some point, you need to publish a visual guide that shows a picture of the person and a little Wikipedia-style entry saying they were introduced in this chapter with this event, and here's the role that they've done ever since. You need there are characters, and they're cool. The cool thing is you could do, forgive me, I forget the dude's name, but the shopkeeper had a female companion and male companion. The male companion, some bad things happened to him. He was a ninja, or he went from being like another fellow shopkeeper to like being a ninja type character, and some bad shit happened to him. What was his name again?
Leon, yes. And I feel like you could spin this off and have a whole book being like the adventures of Leon, over here. And because it's this cool guy that you do a lot with him, but there's so many characters, there's so much going on that any one character, if anybody latches onto one, it's like you're going to go a few chapters and they'll come back around, but it's like this guy's doing cool shit in the meantime. You could do so many spin-offs with some of these characters that are just really cool. I mean, there's so many. In your writing process, how much is world building and thinking about the game itself, and how much of it is the story and actually what's happening to the various characters? What is that balance? Okay, well, we talked about this in a couple of your podcasts in the past, but let's just move.
Well, I mean, with this one specifically, because this is rich world, and yet there's still so much that can be filled in, which is kind of cool that you've managed to strike that.
So my writing style has always been, I create a world, I create characters, and then I say go. When in this book in particular, I always write the beginning of the book, like where I wanted to start off, and then where I wanted to end.
Right.
How they get from point A to point Z is
unknown at the start.
Is unknown because I've been an active role playing. I've been playing like Dungeons and Dragons or equivalent since I was like 10, 8 to 10. Yeah, I think like 8.
Likewise.
Yeah. And so I've been
20 out of the cup here.
Yeah, so I've been role playing for a very long time, and then also my mother was an acting coach for children, so I got a lot of acting training there, and my best thing was improv.
You must be a dungeon master's nightmare.
I am a dungeon master's nightmare, and actually, if you want to listen to some of, I stream role playing actually. The Kobold's Cafe, if you ever want to check them out.
Yes.
They're great. And so I just put my mind in those characters and just let them riff off each other and go the directions that they go. And this process usually requires some heavy editing
right
after the fact, because a lot of times there's some like, do we even need this whole chapter? Like I recently just cut out like I think it was like 8,000 words out of my book. Just like I don't need these chapters. Gone.
I was surprised, and granted, I've only read through it one time, and I feel like when I finish the second book, or the rough draft, if you will, the second book, I'm going to go back and reread the first book, which I do have in hard copy. In fact, I think I have a copy of it here. I might. There it is.
Somewhere.
I actually have a copy of it back here on my shelf, so here you go, folks. Another online, All Hail the Queen by Terra Snover. That's your lowly shopkeeper. No spoilers. That's not your lowly shopkeeper anymore. But yeah,
you have the purple. I think you have the purpled version.
Oh, okay. Well, this
you
is
have
how the book is. It's that cool, basically.
You have the very special version. You have the one with the really stupid typo in it.
The really stupid typo. Where
yes,
is
you. It's during the fight with the dragon, where it's at one point they say it was supposed to say she propelled herself off of the wall, but you have it, so it says purpled.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I do think I let you know about an error too. I think I caught a typo too that I let you know about, but it wasn't that one because I don't remember that one. I don't think it was that one anyway.
But you have a first draft someday when it explodes or something like that. You'll have the coveted first round. But yeah, no, it's and actually the audiobook is out too now.
Yep, and it's in both English and Spanish too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, there is not the audiobook, but the actual book itself is out in Spanish. If sales go up, guys, I'm gonna translate this into two other languages. I was gonna shoot for. I'm shooting for. I can't actually remember the name of the language. I'm gonna sound such like a white chick right now, but the main language from India.
Hindi.
Yeah, thank you. My brain was just.
Yep. There are many dialects, but I believe Hindi is the primary.
Yeah, and then Japanese.
Yeah, I was going to say it's natural for Japanese. You'll find a manga that's ripping it off about 5 years from now.
And actually, there is heavy Japanese influences. There's an entire genre of Japanese literature and comics and anime and stuff called isekai. Mm-hmm. Which is like I got pulled into another world and deal with that scenario.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Yeah, you know what? There was one. Your
sword art online.
What's the one I'm thinking of with the two girls? Oh man, yeah. No, I get you though. Right. And that's what's interesting is this all takes place inside the world of the game with a few sort of distant memories, almost like flashbacks of things that happen in the real world that the AIs are remembering because, again, these were brain scans of actual people that had real memories, but these were things that the people in the books never did. So it gives it a really, there's definitely like some next level stuff going on with the characters and the world that was built. I want to play this game.
I don't. Those poor people.
Well, I wouldn't know that, except I read the book, so now I know that. But no, I mean, it's because and again, it's not that the game is. It's a World of Warcraft inspired, or I played RuneScape a lot, which was not. It never caught on. It never got quite as big. But I played RuneScape a lot, and I noticed a lot. And a lot of these games had the same tropes. So I noticed like there's this thing over here, and I'm like, oh, that's very similar to this in RuneScape or something like that. But a lot of the tropes get recycled, and the game is not so much important as what is happening to the characters that are now shaping this world. And it is interesting when they interact with human players, and it's like the guy's like, oh man, sweet new content. And it's like, oh, he's a real person because he can break character, you know. So
yeah, I've been enjoying reading. If you like a good light, pulpy, or not light, quick, but like intensive action pulp kind of.
A lot of action, a lot of great fight scenes, a lot of great action, sword fighting and air battles and dragons and medieval tactics and necromancy and zombies and I mean anything you could imagine. There are scenarios, there are chapters dedicated to like every little piece of the world as she travels around and it has different experiences. It's really well done. I can't recommend it enough, guys. You definitely want to check it out at Amazon. All Hail the Queens. Also on Goodreads. There's a couple of platforms.
It's sold specifically through Amazon because they are my corporate overlords apparently. But it's published directly through them and on Audible.
Mhm.
And yeah, and the next book is coming out this year. I'm shooting for before or on May 7th because
Cool.
that's my birthday.
Okay.
Um,
Good present to give yourself there.
Good present for myself. And yeah, and this is so like I said, there's going to be I'm shooting for a total of 9 books, but that's the first in the first trilogy. So it's kind of like a
okay, like that. I gotcha. Yeah, and it is the one thing I will say to anyone getting into it. There are a lot of characters. You got to pay attention to what's going on, because there are no. And this is why I said earlier. I started out by saying I've only read the book one time, and I want to go back through and reread it. But I'm going to make the statement anyway, and I might be wrong, but I feel like there were no loose threads. You talk about your editing process. There were no loose threads. There was no like plot thing that was set up in chapter 3 that never got paid off. Like everything either ended within the chapter or something was set up and you forget about it for a while and then it comes back around like, oh yeah, that's right. You know, and so.
there are those threads. There's stuff that there are. I have them laid out. Like I said, there's stuff laid all through book 1 that
there's
is
a lot of moving parts.
Come into play in book 2 and 3.
Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts. And I will say that the prologue, there's a prologue before chapter 1, and it's confusing as hell because it's a cold start. You're just thrown into the action. There's a big battle, and you don't know what's going on. And then you start chapter 1, and there's a woman sweeping the floor in a shop. And you're just like, wait, what the? But then when you get back to that point in the plot, and you realize, oh, that was that. Oh, now I see. You know, and you see how it all starts to come together. Yeah, no, big payoff and highly recommend it.
Yeah, I've actually was told someone who was reviewing it said get past the prologue.
Yes.
To get to the meat of the book. Yeah. Because the prologue is the tropiest, most like.
Well, it's an action scene. It's a big battle, basically.
It's very fanficky, and that was the point.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah. Well, you basically, there are names being dropped for characters that you don't know who they are. You don't know it's a game yet. That hasn't really, the world hasn't been established. There's a whole lot of plot threads that led up to that moment that, of course, you're going to build up and pay off later, and then we're going to come back. And so it was a very much an out of sequence, but it was a really cool payoff when you got to that point. It's like, oh man, now I see it. Oh man, it's gonna be sweet. And it really is. There's a lot of action in it. Yeah, it's a really good pulpy read. It would be a great, like if you're going on a trip, you've got a long 3-hour flight, you need something to read or whatever. You can definitely. It was a quick read for me, and I don't usually. There's only been a handful of books that I tear through in a day. The Godfather, this was one of them. The Harry Potter series, although we're not going to talk too much about that because that's its own can of worms now.
Yep.
But there are very few that I'm not like, I don't devour books, but this one definitely really good read, really quick, and can't wait to see the second one come out. Hopefully make that May 7th. But in the meantime, guys, check it out. All Hail the Queen, another online book, one by Terra Snover. So yeah.
And on Audible, it's about 8 hours. So if you got a good road trip coming up, I mean, you shouldn't be traveling anywhere right now because COVID. But if you are,
you should be driving.
Yes, if you are, you should be driving. Or if you're just looking for new content, because I know we're all hurting for content right now. Just head over to Audible, pick that up, and have a good day's worth of book.
Absolutely. Well, Terra, it's been great talking to you. I think we're going to wrap it up here, but thanks again. And, this was a blast. It was fun to get back into it. It's been a couple years for me. Thanks again for humoring me and all of this. And hey, I appreciate it. It's always.
I think we both needed it.
Yes.
After the 4 years of shenanigans.
Absolutely. So, thank you. All right, I'm just going to quit. I'm going to